Have you ever started something with burning enthusiasm only to abandon it weeks later? A new diet, a language course, a fitness routine, all left behind like forgotten New Year's resolutions. This isn't a character flaw, it's a discipline problem, and there's an ancient solution. Chapter 1. The story of Michael Chen was 28 years old when he realized his life was falling apart. Not in a dramatic, rock-bottom way, but in that quiet, insidious manner that's almost worse. He wasn't failing, he was just existing. Michael worked as a mid-level marketing specialist at a tech company. His performance reviews always read meets expectations. Nothing more, nothing less. Every January, Michael would write ambitious goals: get promoted, learn Spanish, lose 20 pounds, write that novel. By February, these goals were forgotten. By December, he'd feel that familiar disappointment in himself, promising that next year would be different, but it never was. The pattern repeated for years until one evening, exhausted after another mediocre day, Michael stumbled upon a documentary about Japanese samurai. Something the narrator said stopped him cold. The samurai didn't rely on motivation or inspiration. They built their lives on unwavering discipline. Bushido, the way of the warrior. Michael paused the video. That was it, his entire life. He'd been waiting for motivation, for that perfect moment when he'd magically transform into a disciplined person. But that moment never came because discipline isn't found, it's forged. That night, Michael couldn't sleep. He spent hours researching Bushido, the ancient code that governs samurai life. He wasn't interested in the fighting techniques. He wanted to understand how these warriors maintained such incredible self-discipline in every aspect of their lives. Chapter 2. The meeting with Sensei Takeda. The next day, Michael did something completely out of character. He signed up for traditional Japanese martial arts classes at a local dojo. He wasn't interested in fighting, he wanted to understand the mindset. The dojo was small and unassuming, tucked between a laundromat and a convenience store. When Michael walked in, he was greeted by Sensei Takeda, a man in his 60s with perfect posture and calm, penetrating eyes. "I want to learn about Bushido," Michael blurted out after introducing himself. Not just the martial arts, but the discipline. Sensei Takeda studied Michael for a moment. Why? The question caught Michael off guard. He expected to be sold a membership, not interrogated. "Because I start things and never finish them. I make promises to myself and break them. I want to change." Sensei Takeda nodded slowly. "Most people come here wanting to learn how to fight others. You want to learn how to fight yourself. This is good." He gestured for Michael to sit. "Bushido is not just for samurai. It is a path for anyone seeking mastery over themselves," Sensei explained. The samurai lived by 7 virtues, but underlying all of them was one quality: unwavering self-discipline. Michael leaned forward. "How did they develop that?" "Not through motivation or inspiration," Sensei said. "Those are like waves, they come and go. The samurai built discipline through ritual, through daily practice, through what we call Seishin Teki Kyoyo, spiritual forging." He wrote something on a piece of paper and handed it to Michael. "Musha Shugyo." "What does it mean?" Michael asked. "Warrior's journey. It is a path of continuous improvement through deliberate practice." The samurai didn't become disciplined overnight. They built it day by day, action by action. Michael felt a chill run down his spine. This wasn't about quick fixes or life hacks. This was about transformation. "I want to learn," Michael said. Sensei Takeda nodded. "Then we begin now." Chapter 3. The Bushido method. Over the next weeks, Michael learned that Bushido discipline wasn't about forcing yourself to do difficult things through sheer willpower. It was about creating a system that made discipline inevitable. The first principle Sensei taught was mokuteki, purpose. The samurai did not train for vague goals, Sensei explained. They knew exactly why they practiced each day. Without clear purpose, discipline falters. Michael realized he'd been setting goals without connecting them to a deeper purpose. Losing weight wasn't just about looking better, it was about having the energy and health to live fully. Learning Spanish wasn't just about adding a skill. It was about connecting with a culture he admired. The second principle was junbi, preparation. The samurai prepared their environment for success, Sensei said. They maintained their swords meticulously, ranged their armor carefully. They eliminated obstacles before they rose. Michael began applying this to his life. He deleted social media apps from his phone. He prepared healthy meals in advance. He set out his workout clothes the night before. He created an environment that made discipline easier. The third principle was kata, form. The samurai practiced specific movements thousands of times until they became second nature, Sensei explained. They didn't reinvent their practice each day. They followed established patterns. Michael created morning and evening rituals. He stopped deciding whether to exercise each day, it simply became part of his morning kata. He stopped questioning whether to read or scroll through social media before bed, reading became his evening kata. The fourth principle was Kaizen, continuous improvement. The samurai never considered themselves masters, sensei said. They were always students, always improving by small degrees. Michael stopped expecting overnight transformation. Instead, he focused on being 1% better each day. He tracked his progress meticulously, celebrating small victories. The fifth principle was Mushin, no mind. The samurai trained to act without hesitation. Sensei explained. They didn't debate whether to practice. They didn't negotiate with themselves. They acted immediately upon deciding. Michael adopted the 5-second rule. When it was time to do something difficult, he counted down from 5 and moved before his mind could create excuses. Chapter 4. The transformation. 3 months into his training, Michael noticed changes, not just in his martial arts skills, but in every area of his life. He was waking up at 5:30 a.m. without hitting snooze. He was completing projects at work ahead of schedule. He was learning Spanish for 20 minutes every day without fail. His colleagues noticed. "Michael, what's happened to you?" his manager asked after he delivered an impressive presentation. "You're different." Michael smiled. "I'm practicing Bushido." His manager looked confused, but it didn't matter. Michael knew what was happening. He wasn't relying on motivation anymore. He was building a disciplined system. 6 months in, Michael received his first promotion in 3 years. 9 months in, he was conversational in Spanish. 1 year in, he had lost 30 pounds and completed the first draft of his novel. But the most significant change wasn't external. It was how Michael felt about himself. The shame of broken promises had been replaced by quiet confidence. He knew that whatever he committed to, he would complete. Chapter 5. The science behind Bushido discipline. The Bushido approach to discipline isn't just ancient wisdom, it's backed by modern neuroscience. Research from Stanford University shows that willpower is a limited resource that depletes throughout the day. This explains why even disciplined people often falter in the evening. The samurai intuitively understood this. They didn't rely on willpower alone. They created systems and rituals that bypassed the need for constant decision-making. Neuroscientists call this automaticity, the brain's ability to perform actions without occupying conscious attention. When you drive a familiar route, you're using automaticity. Your conscious mind can wander while your unconscious mind handles the driving. The samurai created automaticity in their discipline. Through consistent practice, they made disciplined actions automatic, requiring minimal willpower. Studies at Duke University found that approximately 45% of our daily actions are habits, rather than deliberate decisions. By intentionally designing these habits, we can build discipline into our neural pathways. The Bushido approach also aligns with research on implementation intention-specific plans that link situations to responses. When you decide in advance exactly when and where you'll take action, you're 300% more likely to follow through. Chapter 6. Applying Bushido discipline today. Michael's story isn't unique. The Bushido method of discipline building works for anyone willing to practice it consistently. First, define your mokuteki, your deeper purpose. Don't just set goals. Understand why those goals matter to you on a fundamental level. Second, prepare your environment for success. Remove obstacles. Create triggers for positive behaviors. Eliminate distractions before they tempt you. Third, establish your kata, your forms and rituals. Don't reinvent your day every morning. Create consistent patterns that guide you toward your goals. Fourth, embrace Kaizen, continuous improvement. Don't expect perfection. Focus on getting 1% better each day. Fifth, develop Mushin, the ability to act without hesitation. When it's time to do something difficult, count down from 5 and move before your mind creates excuses. Remember, the samurai weren't born disciplined. They weren't special or different from you. They simply understood that discipline isn't a personality trait, it's a practice. And through consistent practice, anyone can develop it. Your life is shaped not by your intentions, but by your actions. And your actions are shaped by your discipline. Master your discipline, and you master your destiny. The path of Bushido isn't easy, but nothing worthwhile ever is. The question isn't whether you can become disciplined, it's whether you're willing to begin the journey. The samurai had a saying, the path begins beneath your feet. Your journey to unbreakable self-discipline starts now, with the very next action you take.